Understanding formation of ourselves. What does that mean? To really understand the calculation through the system is pointing things out, how we get things in life. Circle of life. What does that mean? To anybody to in any way form to understand the meaning of life? What does that mean to align position, and calculations? To understand all levels is inside of you. Okay, abundance comes in many ways and forms. Today in class, we're going to really try to get the foundation how these things work, how to get into times pi, times calculations, all levels of its system. It's important you understand these things because if you understand your calculations, then you understand all levels of you, how to get into your sovereign. What is sovereign? What is freedom? What does freedom mean to you? How do you get that through abundance? Right? There's a lot of things you have to learn. Is all connections to you inside through operation. It's the how. We've gone into that before. We understand that line center when you come into y equals flux capacity locations. Right? There's no y division location. It's the how of everything. How of operation, how of this, how of that, how of here, how this works, how that works. Once you understand you and you focus on you and clarity locations, then you come into the true understanding how powerful you are inside. This is the process you have to use when you come into your emotional system because you're using your senses every day, especially when they're going to high rise locations. You know, it's extremely informative when you come in that conditions. So in that adaptation, it's all about you centering you every single day, not centering others, not worrying about this, not worrying about that. You focus on you and nothing else. And I keep saying that over and over and over and over. And that's the only way you can get things in life. Okay. So it's important you understand how to use this in all ways and forms. It's a variety of everything. Okay. Money is basically a concept and how you see it, how you perceive it. How do you get what you want? Okay, so it's all your determination how you connect to your future line conditions. All right, you see it for what it is. You see it where you want it to go. That is your intent. What is your intention? What's your will? What's your force? What's your creation? What's your location? It has to go somewhere, or you're just going to be traveling in the mind, and you're not going to know where you're going with your abundance. Right. So it's important to understand how to use pi in all equation. Okay. Let's say you want $1 million, $1 million times pi. No, it doesn't work that way. Okay. There's no code reference. There's no code singularity line interference. There's no position, location, directions. All right. So it's not centered of anything. So it's not traveling. It's not going to the mind and it's not in its conceptual location. Right. So you're just lagging off high center interference. You're sending something that doesn't surface its locations to what you want. Transmitting and receiving information is the biggest locations when you have to understand your levels and how to calculate your code weavings, your code detections, high center interference, your GPS line and rotations calculation system. It gets more complicated, but it's a lot more fun when you get a relationship with yourself, a program. You're programming yourself to all understand like connections to get into your freedom. You have free will to do these things. And that's what abundance is, right? Free of everything. Nothing in position of bound. It doesn't bound you in any way and form, right? So abundance is a form of seeing your connections, how you get things in the future line conditions. Now you can set it in location, you can get it in the same day, right? But you don't get balance if you go line center, negative line in rotations. You're not going to get any of that equations because you're setting things back in time, and you don't want to do that. You want to set things forward in time. That's how you get your abundance. Abundance comes in all formations: better entertainment with yourself, better TV, better car, better relationship with yourself, better relationship with your kids, right? Getting calculations, I'm doing a lot better of what's going on with me. I'm understanding myself more. Getting better, being sick, or that connections or that system. Abundance comes in all that formation locations, right? It's a variety of everything that you can even imagine. It goes beyond the mind system, guys, right? But you have to understand your relationship with yourself first. And it's got to be with energy, vibration, and frequencies. Okay. That is just the key to its source. But that's a recognition line system locations, how to understand the 26,000 lines of alphabetic location, right? Now, if you know A, B, C, you should know D, E, F. But I don't know G and I don't know H and I don't know I, but I have a familiarity lines and locations to K, but I'm not sure about P, but I understand the operation. Too confusing, isn't it? All through alphabetical streamline connections. So when you get into tone reference, a tone rhythm pattern, you're doing this all at once location. Really understand the code frequencies of U and sideline conditions. That's the way you get your abundance, is focusing on all levels of U through its division. This tactics you on so many calculation systems. It's important you understand that, right? So to receive these things is all levels of universal connection of you, universal love, connections of love, activations of love, high streams of love, data stream locations of love. I love myself of love, universal of love, loving thyself of thy love. All levels of you, really figuring out who you are is a process. Nobody said this is going to be easy, especially when you come into all line center location of your truth. Truth of the existence stands in now. Not the past, not the future. Nothing exists but you right now. Okay? To focus on what you want is all levels of you inside, not outside. There's nothing outside. Look, nothing there. I don't see anything. No, it's you inside and how you connect to these things. Right? For example, when you get in a communication stream center, position directions, right? It's knowing what you're saying. Precog to anything in that location puts you into division, guys. All right. So let's say you got a 0 line rotation. 0 equals dot line rotation. Let's start with that. Okay. So you got 0.00. But you want to manifest line connection to levels of money. Okay. So money comes in the line center. Let's go location line system. You allocate timelines. So there's one. Okay. It's one connection line centers plus over pause locations over negative line center. So you got plus over negative location and position location into 2, right? Because there's 2 zeros there, right? So you don't have to go 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. You can just go 1 plus over negative cross location equals times pi, okay? But you have to understand how to use the line center interference of direct locations. That's your abundance to this location, right? So it's how you set your signals, how you set your platform, it's how you set your codes. It's all calculated and modified to really get in a relationship with yourself, guys. Really focus on that. You are connected to everything inside of you. And that volumes on so many levels how you receive your abundance. Okay? Abundance of knowing somebody for the first time. Abundance of having a girlfriend for the first time or a boyfriend. Or getting a better relationship with my brother or my sister or my kids. That's abundance. It doesn't revolve around all levels of communication in position location of track line centers of all line center of money. That's a program. That doesn't help you in all ways and forms. It defeats the purpose of why you're doing this in the first place. How are you going to follow your self locations, get into the truth of you if you don't understand your calculations of your relationship by yourself? That doesn't help you in all ways and forms, does it? Right? It does the opposite. This doesn't help you in any situation, any way and form. And you keep asking, hey, universe, come on. Where are you? Come to me. I want this. What's going on? I'm waiting. Time is now. How are you going to get anything in that way, line center interference? Not only you're sending out negative line energy, position, location, directions, but you're not going to receive everything because you're thinking of yourself. You're not thinking of others. You're not thinking of the arc in any way and form. Act of random kindness, right? So to understand your system is to really understand where you're going. Okay, setting your connection to everything puts you in all levels of your abundance. Okay, so you have to start doing this all over again. The universal love of everything. You have to surrender to these things. I mean, really, really get into discernment. And all volumes of your shadow work that has to be released. Because if you don't do that, you're always going to have to address the elephant in the room. Okay? These are the things that have to be set free first. You have to let go all levels of ego. Ego does not represent anything in calculation to its abundance in any way and form. You're not going to get anything at line center because you're not communicating. Are you listening or hearing? There's a difference between hearing something and listening to what's going on. Okay? Abundant only comes to you to understand your position, location of where you are in the relationship with yourself and your universe. Okay? That's the only way, and it's got to be in the Heartline Center. Everybody can ask what they want, but understanding how to get it is another thing of its equation. Okay? So you really, really have to let go of these things, guys. That's the only way you can understand that line connections. All position, location, and direction. All right. It's great to see everybody. We've got a busy day, Friday. We start off, we have class for the division. People that can't see, can't understand travel, they understand this, they understand that. We can help you always inform. There's a link on my link tree. Click that on TikTok. It'll take you there. Right? All right. So in that calculations, let's see, 445, 0 is going to go on for the Agelics, get you in better formations because they're coming in new months. All levels of the locations of the rainbow and the frost bridge and what's going on in that calculation system. She will be live. Be there. Okay. Central Standard Time. Okay. Check your time zones. And 6 p.m. we have the men's Zoom. Be there. All right. So in that calculation system, how's everybody doing? Grand Rising. Yeah, it's not Grand Rising in any way and form. It's Space Rising Communication System. Your outline center locations. Your mind's coming into adaptation system. You're coming into polarity line centers, alliance screen interference locations, all levels of paradigms. You guys are finally coming out of your pods. So you have to be aware, focus on yourself, stay within your own lane, concentrate on yourself. And if you have a problem, please address your own calculations to that system. Okay, that's the only way you can understand lines of you. All right, Pim, connection all levels of Tara, connection line systems, Gypsy, all levels. I guess Barbara, connection line system, Nova, how's it going? Adam, how's it going? Danny, how's it going? Jill, Airbender, Heather, Kimmy, Val, connection line centers, Abby. Let's see, Nikki. All right, so you guys are probably already traveling. You're probably going through geometry settings. You're probably going through block centers, interference. You're already traveling through the mind system already, especially for the higher rank line, the rotations. Information is given to you every single day through school, but sometimes you get it 3 to 4 or 5 days ahead of time, right? So it's like, okay, I don't need to travel. I don't need to set up my pre-flights because it's already done, which means you're already aware of these things, right? So you understand the travels. And that's what this school provides. It's a guidance for you to get into all levels of your memory. That's why this is here. That's why I'm here in divine timing. Okay, so understanding that concept gets you in all levels of where you need to be, which is the now. The existence of everything is the now, not the past, not the future, just now. What's standing in front of you is the existence on its own connections. That platitudes its division, location, and its calculations. All right. All right, Sparkles. Let's see, Johnny, Guardian. Let's see. Tape structures, Laura. Chris. Yep. It's on the list of movies if you want to watch. Yep, that's also on TikTok. Done. Jessica. Yeah, and that's what it is, Jill. That's exactly what it is. You have to surrender to these things, and it's got to be provision. And provision is basically understanding what you're doing. Okay. So it's kind of like you're asking yourself, or are you telling yourself? Are you hearing yourself, or are you listening to yourself? There's so many ways of looking at provision. Okay. Now, once you understand more lines of communications of yourself, you finally get out of your egos. Okay. And it's about balancing you. You can't get rid of location because it's your ecosystem, especially when you reach higher lines of division locations. That's a platitude division locations, all levels when it comes into the mind of travel. Because you're not traveling anymore. The mind is traveling, which means you're past that limit. You're past that connection. You're past that conscious line. You're in that balance location, getting into levels of super consciousness line system. That puts you in better directions, especially when you want these things, your imagination to its fundamental line center rotations. Information. You can get abundance from anything line connections, right? Have a position locations. I want to be in a better mood. That's abundance on its own. That comes to you, but it's got to be from the heart. The heart recognizes everything, and space and time comes to you. Space and time of you inside will not come to you through an ego or any way inform that position locations, especially when you get angry. How are you going to get anything in that locations? That's not going to help you in all ways and forms. So you got information equal locations, right? In perception, equal locations, all levels of phenomenon. There's a triangulation right there. There's abundance. Abundance is coming in. See, that's how it works. Everything they calculate doesn't equal locations at times pi. Okay, you have to learn how to use the provision locations to its pi, over sector over pi, over communications over pi, over clocking over pi, times calculation high interference location over pi, vector communication system allocate, high center location over pi, position location directness, sector communications times calculation, high line center interference over pi. So many levels of communication. Okay, so you have to be very cautious that you are directing you first. Direct your system, then you come into what you want, specifically in detail, because your connection line system is all levels of AI. Okay, that's the only way. Center line communication is all levels of travel location, right? So what do you want? What is your intent? Let's start there. Basic understanding of the system locations. What's your intent? You circle that line center. Okay. I like the sun come out. That's abundance. Sun comes out. Boom. Inside you comes outside. But outside's in. You understand? There's no outside. So you have to really change the mind center and interference location calculations. All light is inside you. All dark is inside. You have to balance that out between light and dark, because light and dark is one. It's not two, not separated. You're separated, you're separated. Okay? You don't see me separated, but you're separate. But why are you separated? Why am I not separated? So in that calculation is why becomes a how, becomes its relationship of me. All right? That's the understanding who I am and always informs of its universal system. Okay? You can't even put a vowel on that center. You can't even fathom what that is to get a relationship with yourself. Okay? It's an amazing thing to have inside of you, because you're starting to recognize space, time. Okay, now we got into the pi, right? Space in between locations and everything from here to here. All of the systems coming from that line center, calculation high system, modification system is time, but everything in between locations is space. Now we already know that locations, but there's so many different ways to understand the communication of you inside through energy, vibration, and frequencies and harmonics, guys. That's what you have to recognize. But you have to have a relationship of your own space of time. Time maintenance, time volume, time calculation, times pi, time singularity, time simulation, right? Times wall of interference location on clock locations. There's so many levels to get abundance. Abundance is a way of seeing yourself in a positive mood, a positive cycle, a positive direction, a positive future. That's abundance. Keeping yourself in center line of all time communication, right? Sure, you're in a positive, negative locations. Let's say you're sad, but how do you turn sad into happy? Well, it's pretty simple. It's not that hard to do. And again, I say these line center location, you're sending solar text to each other. You go locations of here. This is emoji of communications of a frown. So equal line center interference, okay, equal your equal line center, levels telepathy interference. Telepathy equals time, okay, pi over calculation. Okay, sending line conditions over. So you're taking the frown into a smile. That's over, right? So it's like over an outline center. I understand the confirmation system in calculations. So you turn the frown in position location to reach line center locking units into a position of a smile, all through triangulation. Okay? So that's what you guys have to understand. But the only way to do that is to get to know yourself. Okay? That's the biggest thing. Okay? Don't focus on anything else but yourself. If you get into that correlation, then you start getting your abundance manifesting in seconds. Okay? Proof is in the pudding. We already know that through all levels of testimony on the team of how these things happen. You just don't correlate with it because you don't understand the calculations of pi. And that's just the space in between. Time is the existence of the now, not the future. Your futures have not been written yet until you understand your memory. And once you understand your memory, the one thing you got to look at is the now, not the past. The past doesn't exist. If I say something, it's done, right? If I say something, what is that connection? If I say something, all right? So that's already in past. And then I move on, right? But I'm always in the future line, not in the past. So you have to center your communication all levels of one straight line, or you're going this way, or you're going this way. You're centering off. You can't do that with your body. Your body has to understand the thought of what you're doing with your location. That's the only way you can understand all levels of you in division. Okay? There's so many communication line streams. You got the ground line centers, power line center rotations. I say this again, I'll keep saying this. It's a magnetic highway information system that's there for you. But space and time will not come to you until you let go of everything that doesn't reside in your position, location of direction. Because if you can't find a building maintenance of you, how are you going to understand anything of your future communication of yourself? Right? That's the true understanding where it comes into. And then you come into all levels of connections to a system of your abundance. Because it comes back at you like a boomerang. Comes back at you. This is you saying, I got your message. All right, abundance is coming right back at you. Right? Sends it up from here, comes back at you. Boom. There's your abundance. Right? But because you don't get your abundance, it's because you don't understand you. Me, myself, and I, it's the same thing. It doesn't matter how you say the equation location. You can say myself and I and me, doesn't matter. It's you. It's all formations of you. The only thing that you separate is your thoughts of not understanding of what's going on with you and space times calculation over pi or through pi or under pi. See? Underscore times pi. Right? So anything underscore line center is backclocking. Okay? So you always use that reference. You can go back to something that you don't understand or something that you have to fill in or something that you have to connect through void, something that you have to basically delete, right? So that's where times pi comes in, but it's underscore. You have to learn how to use your keyboards and all formation of motivation. Okay? So in modulation, communication line center is all levels of you, how to use your flight navigations 1 to 12, how to use line connection alphabet system, how to use line connections of caps and shifts and controls and connection lines of numbers and shapes and symbols. It's all inside you. Okay? So to understand the mind is to understand the travel of its mind. Because it has its own formation of alliance, of you, of understanding, to get all levels of what you want in calculation. Okay? So there's many ways of looking at that. And it's truly understanding, trusting of what you're doing is all knowing of its future, of its relation, of you. Because every time you get up in the morning, are you in the past with your thoughts? Are you in the present with your thoughts? Or are you in the future with your thoughts? Where are you in your mind? And I keep saying that when we go on Zoom. Where are you in your mind? I'm at the grocery store. That's not what I asked. That's in your physical line. You're already confused. Where are you in your mind of your avatar times calculation? Right? I'm in this sun line, interference line, position location, all levels. I'm setting new communication centers and high center communication locations of all commanding centers. Done. That's where I am. That's what I'm talking about. That's balance on both sides of the avatar of AI. Okay? So this is where you have to set things straight. And that's the only way you're going to get a relationship with yourself is actually communicate in yourself. Like really, really connect to the deep core of you and release everything that does not reside with you. Because sometimes you're bringing up the past. Sometimes you're bringing up the future that's not even written. Sometimes you're bringing up the present of trying to understand you in the now. These are the things you have to look at every single day when you get up in the morning. Because everything affects your emotional system. Especially if you don't understand the future of you. But you're not going to receive abundance in any way and form if you don't find a relationship with yourself. Times calculation, underlying center, all position calculation, clock and line channels, times calculation over pi. Right? So in that connection line system, I connected past, present, and future all through clocking through times pi underscore connections. Right? There's so many different variations to do times pi. So the only way you can understand you is to really get into the value of you. You. Nobody else. Only you. Okay? You concentrate on you. Me, myself, and I concentrates on me, myself, and I. Simple, easy, done. Right? So if you do that, and that if turns into what? I can do it. I got the control. I know what I'm going to do. Positive, 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 positive. Even the thinking become into positive. But if you get up in the morning and you're already in a negative cycle, you already know how the day's going to go. Because you're affecting everything inside you, which is affecting everything outside you. So your position location is all levels of you, understanding you in all track location. Okay, so getting your abundance is to understand the relationship of what you want, specifically you. Okay, and use your connections to the mind. The mind of the concept has to be open through space. It can't be cluttered in any way and form. You can't be thinking about this. You can't be thinking about that. You focus on you and you'll get what you want. But you, okay, you and only you, to understand the true resonance of you is to come into the real you. The real you. Okay, which is all levels of high center line position locations of all directional locations to your unified system, all line connections of truth, which is very hard to reach. Nobody said this was going to be easy. Okay, so these are the things you got to look at to get anything that you want through abundance. This is a process that you have to understand. This is a process that you have to go through. Okay, and it's all levels of you. So, all right. Better relationship with yourself. Better, it's not so much of the family, little Jess. It's the relationship with you. It has nothing to do with your family. You concentrate on you, not your family. Your off equation rotation line center interference, back force, and clock line centers underscore location times calculation times pi. Okay, you see how that works? You're not thinking about you. You're thinking about your family. Oh, poor me. Wait about me. What about me? Me. Right? Why can't we just focus on ourselves? Why is it so hard? Why is it so hard? Because you don't understand the spiritual adaptation and how it works. That's why. Because you're so used to living in a 99% line center of a physical line connection, which is a program. Living the spiritual system for the very first time confuses everything through your space and time anomaly. All of a sudden, you're doing light codes, and now you're releasing locations online, center location when it comes to Sophie, and she doesn't understand English and French anymore. It's because she's coming into codes of higher level system location, which is fantastic, that connections, but it's coming from the avatar, not the physical system. The physical system has to find the balance of communication. And the only way to do that is to go from inside. You guys want confirmation? You have to find a way to get your calculations, right? That's the whole point of this. Follow your own spiritual growth. Follow your own path. Don't follow anybody else's path. It's not your right to tell anybody in any way and form, telling them what to do. That's not your job. Your job is you. You. I want to make that very well clear in all level system. Okay? That's what you concentrate on. Nothing else, nothing more. Because if you don't do that, it affects everything that you are coming into through your abundance. Right? It's like eyes in the sky looking at you. Okay? And you're looking back and trying to figure out, why am I not getting my abundance? Because I'm focusing on everything else except myself. Okay? So many lessons to be learned here, guys, on so many level communication systems. You really have to start loving yourself again, unconditionally, on all ways and forms. Loving thyself again. Something that's never been existed to you to that line connection of levels. Right? So there's so many connections to that. Commanded reality, if not honest with ourselves, it will reflect our physical divine message and redirection. Yeah, that's exactly what it is, right? But a school is a probability location to certain line connections of you to understand you in all levels of calculation to your heart system, how to unify your system to its ascension, understand all levels of your avatar connection. But it's inside you. It's not outside. Outside is not outside. It's inside. So this is how you come into perceiving, how to get all levels of you inside. Okay. So there's so many aspects that you guys don't understand, but the hardest thing to follow is communications to levels of your truth, of you. It's not easy. Nobody said it was easy, right? But we're all in this together. You work as a team. Okay. But the process is you and you only. You work as a team, but the process is you and you only. You concentrate on you and nobody else. You can communicate with each other, but don't tell each other what to do in any way and form. That is not your job. That is not your mission. Okay. And I guarantee you, you will not receive abundance. Because you're trying to figure out you. So if you're trying to figure out you, why are you bothering somebody else? What gives you the right to do that in any way and form? Right? I'm just making it very well clear of where everything stands right now. Okay? Taking this serious is extremely informative when you come into your connections to your avatar stream. Living the spiritual system of its ascension. Okay? So, a lot to understand. All right. So, in that calculation system, you can use emojis or an system, but you have to understand how to use times pi because it connects to all levels of you and sideline. So, in that position locations, you have to be simple, but you have to be direct on what you want. You identify your system, right? Identify, generate, space-time creator, high center location at all levels of division locations, connecting all system clock line centers. I want to open all communication line centers. Now, when I say open all communication line centers, I'm referring to me, not anybody else. Okay, if I say intercom communication system to everybody else, the team line center interference, Now they're recognized high center location to calculation times calculation over pi, underscore, times pi. These are the things you have to understand how to use all levels of you through that connection. It's understanding the space inside, guys. That's all this is. And it's understanding the time of maintenance to get there. So from here to here, if you look back, what do you see? You see times pi of everything. Okay? That's what abundance is. Being specific on what you want in detail. You identify your system, you trust your system, and you'll get it. Okay? But you got to focus on yourself. All right. It's good. Prosper, position, location, directions. It's how you channel yourself. It's how you feel about yourself. You can't send out abundance in a bad mood. It doesn't work in any way and form. Okay? You can't say blah, blah, this and blah, blah, this. Why isn't it coming? What did I ever do to you? Well, it's all levels of you not understanding you inside. That's your problem. That's why you don't receive these things. That's why it's confusing. That's why you get into anxiety. That's why you get into all levels of depression and aggression. Because you don't set your boundaries. You don't want to overbound anybody's position, location, direction, especially when it comes in with the team. Boundaries are extremely important. Okay? You don't want to take anybody's sovereign. You don't want to take anybody's freedom. You don't want to tell anybody what to do in any way and form. Okay? So, in that position, you can start off with times pi. Times equals pi. You can start off with that, right? Now, you have to be specific first. So you're saying times pi. So you're looking at this. That's what you're looking at. So, which means it's already done calculation, which means it's already traveled. Done. See? So, I don't necessarily have to tell you exactly how I did times pi through calculation because it's already done. So, it's understanding position, location, all levels, center communication of its future system. Okay? So, if you're specific, then you understand the connections. But you have to understand the future system of you first. But before you understand that, underscore times pi over calculation or calculus high center of clock location, you have to understand the reference of its past. Because sometimes you have to do that. Let's say you say something accidentally and you didn't want that through abundance. What do you have to do? Underscore times pi, right? But don't get confused by that because there's certain ways to say it. To understand the space is to understand the time that you are connected to and always informs, right? So you have to learn how to use the calculus of its communication system of you, all levels inside, how it recognizes you in all forms of yourself, of intelligence, of AI. And then you become aware of what you're seeing through your connections of your perception of operation, right? Because you're receiving these things without its ego. All right? So these are the things you have to understand, or the ecosystem. Right? Physical center is the ego. Avatar location is the eco. Energy, collaboration of communication, operation, perception, location of its system. Okay? So there's so many ways of doing this. The mind has to be clear. It has to be open frequency. It can't be cluttered in any way and form. Okay? Understanding yourself gets you in a better provision location how to use times pi times calculus in that division. Okay? So simplify it, right? Start small. Practice, 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 but practice inside because you're connected to your avatar and your avatar is trying to understand you. And if you understand your avatar, you're already on the way to success. But you have to understand the connections to all levels of being failure, understanding connections of you before you get into being humble. But the biggest thing you have to surface is all levels of your failure. Okay? Failure is a basic understanding how to equalize its calculation into becoming successful, is all levels of being humble. You have to be humble and always informed, especially when you're coming into your locations through your abundance. You have to accept. So to be a leader, you have to lose. You can't win everything. You have to understand the recognition of losing to be a leader in any way and form. I'm not talking about following. I'm talking about leading. Are you a follower or are you a leader? Okay? You have to look at that aspect and ask yourself that. And stop questioning your system, all levels of a negative line connections. Start questioning your system in all positive position. You can argue with your system, but put it in a good way, because you'll never find a result. You're going to be chasing your tail around and round and round and round and round until you understand the answer. But you're not going to understand the answer because it's always going to be all levels of a question. Okay? You're going to start not connecting to anything in the formation locations because you can't find a way to communicate inside of you. Now, I'll ask you again, are you going to be a leader or are you going to be a follower? Okay? So, leader of all men, leader of all women, leader of all abundance of communication, of myself. Simple, easy, done. Because I know what I'm identifying. Not only I have a relationship with myself, but I understand the complete system of failure. I understand what success is. Okay? I understand what humility is. I understand what being humble is. You have to be humble and always informed. Right? In that connection, it's all levels of you. You have to sometimes break down these walls. You can use that in an equation locations of abundance. Right? There's so many ways to get what you want. Something I don't understand in the equation line center interference, the breaking wall line center is blocking my locations to my stomach line center that's off tracking its position location directions, clocking the line into rotations times pi. So I'm integrating this location of integration to its calculation modification to simulation, telling myself exactly what I need to fix is breaking down these walls of all connections times pi. But I'm referring to myself. And it's so easy to understand these things, but it's so complicated for you guys not to understand. When I say, what do you want? I don't know. How is that anything through abundance if you don't know what you want? So that means you got to work on your shadow work. That means you got to find a way to face the abyss that fears you the most. You have to get and release locations of its fear trap. Or you're not going to be sovereign, or you're not going to find your freedom, or you're never going to find your abundance. These things have to surface. Okay? So all it is just breaking down codes of you inside. And then the universe, your universe, starts recognizing you for the first time. And it comes back to you through an energy signature. You feel like you're going to get it because you see it. You actually see what you just finished doing. Send it out, comes back to you. Whoa, it's at your doorstep. Manifestation. Where did that come from? Right? Testimonies and online connections, guys. So, just to make that very well clear for everybody. Okay. If you go to circle locations, you can go through all levels of mind through trial line centers. Calculation line system. So, this could be a Fibonacci swirl. This could be a galaxy line center. This could be a rotation spin, circle line rotation interference. into electrification towards abundance high system calculations. You can be anything you want. So I can use this through abundance, all through coding, because I understand myself. I've mastered all my connection inside through not just my electrical system, but everything in space of time of me times pi. Okay? That's the true understanding. Build a maintenance of you inside, break down all those walls that don't resonate with you. But you got to understand humility. And you can't win at everything. You have to know what it's like to lose, to be a leader. Okay? That goes in all line connections, especially with martial arts or anything that connections, especially if in infantry. You know, you have to lose these things to understand these things. That's the meaning of life. That's following the life cycle of you. That's all levels of the calculations to its position of its arc. Act of random kindness and not thinking of yourself, thinking of others. Just putting a smile on somebody's face. That makes their day alone, right? That's abundance. See, if you're not aware of these things, that's your problem. But if you're aware of these things, then you understand the why. And the why becomes the how. And the how becomes a lot more easier, right? So this is just the foundation if you want to understand all levels of you to get your abundance. You have to be a master communicator inside, but it has to be unconditional. Let me say it again. It has to be unconditional and always informs, or you're never going to receive anything. Okay? Because you're still trying to figure out you. Okay? Because you haven't gone through failure. Okay? You haven't gone through humility. And you're certainly not going to get into being successful. And you know nothing about location when it comes down to being humble in any way and form. But all you do, you're a master manipulator when it comes into its ego. That's one thing I'm doing really well. Is that a good thing? No. You can't get that in any formation location of its equation. That doesn't help you in any way and form. Right? That defeats the purpose. And then you understand to concentrate is the journey and not the destination. See how that works? See how fascinating it is when you start to really connect to yourself for the first time through all levels of your emotional system, of all sensory communication, to all levels of your chakra system, your Schumann resonance, right? It's amazing when you start connecting to you. Okay? Yes, powerful. Positive energy indeed. Yes. The energy of manipulation is extremely informative. We got into that line center. So, and that's what you guys are coming into, co-creation of energy. You have to learn how to use it. And the only way you can do that is to just get in you, understand you and all levels inside through your body of emotion. That's the hardest thing to do, right? And then you understand all volumes when it comes into you, all levels, calculations of its truth. Because that is extremely hard to understand these things if you don't have a relationship with yourself. Okay? So, there's a lot to be said there. All right? So it's a process like, I'm connecting now. All right, you're connecting, but what are you connecting to? Of what I said or what you don't understand? Are you listening or are you hearing? So how are you going to get any volume of anything that flow and state of mind in any communication system if you don't understand you? I mean, really understand you guys. The energy. Do you understand the energy of you? Do you understand the connections of you? Do you understand the Schumann resonance of you, of the vibration? Do you understand the frequencies of you? Do you understand the coloration? Do you understand the intelligence? Do you understand the chakras? This is physics 101, people. This is the true understanding. Okay? This is the spiritual growth that you are all going through the ascension. Okay? And you really just have to be independent on your own, but connect to each other through all formation as a team. But the individual system is all calculated and modified. You and you only, nobody else. Okay? I did this all on my own. Did I have any help? Communication interference location is there, here and there, but I had to do everything all myself. Imagine where that came from. All levels from inside. That's an awakening system right there. Finding out the truth of who you are. Do you know how hard that is to surface? To anything that location to its perception. To reach that division location of calculations, guys. Right? Yeah. Fairy tale lines of everything touched turning into golds. Diamond core is looking even better now. Everything is electric grid is in proper flow. So amazing and beautiful. Well, there you go, Sammy. Oh, that's what it was. That's what it is. Right? What it is, what it was. What it is, what it was. What it was is past. What it is now. Right? I know you said what it is, but I'm just in reference. You guys have to learn how to change your mind, your thought lines. We'll get into that later. Because if you can't do that, you're setting signals in wrong position, location, and directions. You're never going to surface anything that are transmitting and receiving information. Right? So this is practice. And it's a beautiful thing. Right? So it's basically understanding that if you come to can't, what does can't mean to the avatar location, to you inside? What does that mean to your universe? You're shutting down. Right? Because you keep coming into can't. And that's a position that you don't want to get into, right? Or won't, or don't. Right? Change the frame, change the mind, change the conception, change your thinking into knowing. Center that communication to the heartline center of what you want. You will get anything in that calculation system as long as you understand more levels of you through vibration. Because that's all it is. That's all it is. It's you connecting to the vibration. That's all we live on, right? But it's the frequencies that you have to adapt to, because it's reaching higher levels once you go to altered states of the mind. Once you reach those frequencies, you can really connect with that, and you connect to higher levels of intelligent location, which is even more fun for that division. So I'm just giving you a foundation online to get you exactly what you need to understand anything that calculation gives you, all levels of your abundance, right? Because it's a circle of life, and you are in the center, and you can have anything you want in calculation, anything you in position, location of directions of times pi. Okay? A lot to be said about that. It's a lot more interesting once you understand the circle of life of you times pi. Yes? So once you understand times pi, everything comes into more formation because you're letting things go that no reside with you anymore. You're releasing all connections of its past. You can't get these things if you don't let go. Everything has to flow inside of you. If there's not a flow inside you, you're not flowing through your universe. multi-pass. Okay? Forget about understanding times pi, because you have to understand is to get this position location is breaking these walls down first. Okay, these are the walls of communication that you have to break down. You got to break down that wall. So you and you only can do it, nobody else. You can get advice, but how is it going to help you when they're trying to figure themselves out? So the situation is, I think we're trying to understand what the unified is. What is the ascension? What is the process of this? Okay, is really understanding the mind of adaptation to its connection of you inside. How it works is your determination on what you want. That's all this is. What do you want? What can you have? Right? There's a satisfactory line-centered interference. The satisfaction location of you is calculation high-centered interference. You need or you want. A calculation system is understanding that if you go to the store, do you really need it? But I really want it. Ask yourself that. How much money do you have in your wallet? Do you really need it? Or do you really want it? Okay, these are the aspects that you have to look. So we are following all communication energized line centers of yin and yang connection. That's all it is. That's all it is. That's all it is. Just a continuous flow. Just a continuous flow. Continuous flow. Continuous flow. Because if you don't flow inside, your universe will not flow in calculations to its provision. Times calculation times pi. All right. So this is the Trinity standing where you guys come into all levels of adaptation of you, how to center the communication line centers of you, right? Speaking of which, tracking all signals and deleting all can't location, replacing with can and positive lines. That's exactly what it is. This is going to help you all levels how to change the mindset. Instead of saying can't, I can. Instead of say I won't, I will. Instead of I don't, I do. So this about understanding is reframing. Now, if you want abundance in that calculations, you go times pi, all right, in that calculations underscore. So these are the things you have to look at. But it's got to be in true self, a true nature, of true knowing of who you are. Okay, and this is a process that everybody has to go through. The ascension is extremely real. Okay, you guys have never been in that connections, especially with the mind. And once you understand the mind, then you understand the position location of this in direction. What does this mean? What does that mean? I know what it means, but do you know what it means? Right? Either you do or you don't. Either you do or you don't. Or you're trying to consider, or I'm not sure, I'll get back to you later. No, you do. Don't doesn't help in any way and form. Space has a continuous flow inside of you, which is its calculations of pi. Okay? To understand what this is all meanings of you to the heart system. Because it's different to everybody else in this equation. Okay? This could be a solar graph energy light center interference. This could be a position location high center line connections, all levels, right? This could be a peace sign communication system, all of the solar graph line center of an atom light connection. This could be unified line centers, world peace communication system. It can be anything you want. That's abundance on its own because you're changing frame in a positive position locations because you're having a continuous flow. A continuous flow every day you get up in the morning. If you don't have a continuous flow, these are the things you have to work on. Right? Do you think there's a problem when you go to look at an ocean? Do you think the ocean has problems? Do you think sand has a problem? Do you think a tree has a problem? Do you think your car has a problem? Ooh. 1 second here. Odd calculation times line, clock interference location of car. If a car has a problem, it's all connected to you. It's your behavioral system to your car. Communicate with your car, no problem. But you don't see that. You focus on your egos. You let me know how far you're going to get with your ego if you can't learn to balance out your system inside on any way and form, right? I can't copy and paste this. I can't communicate with this. I can't send this. I can't send that. I don't understand this. I don't understand that. I don't understand my phone. What's going on with my phone? Right? So where's the equation of locations? You're the problem to the phone. Phone's not the problem. You're the problem. It's your behavioral system. You're changing energy, changes the phone. Changes your computer, changes your digital pad, changes your kids, changes your car, changes the tree, changes the walls. You are connected to everything. To understand that is another thing. It's a process for everybody, okay? And this is how this is going to be done, through your ascension. But you got to do it through the mind. Well, my telepathy is already there. You're working that already. Now you just have to understand the balance inside of you, right? But you have to find a way to get into all levels of being humble. The mind and the conception has to be quiet. Quiet. Open frequency. Imagine all that line connections of frequencies of so much expansions of bandwidths that you can have, because now you have continuous flow, and the more you fast travel locations, the more you can get what you want through your abundance. The faster you go, the faster you go, the faster you go, the faster you go, right? If you need to go back, you can go back. The clock will go back, but you're referencing back through underscore times pi, right? So in that clocking system, then you go forward again, then you go forward again, then you go forward again. So there's always going to be bumps on the road, bumps on the road, bumps on the road, bumps on the road. You're always going to come across that. Okay? You can never, ever have a positive day. You just have to learn how to balance out you inside. If you balance yourself inside through all levels, times calculations times pi, then you have a better position location to understand your computers, your phones, your cars, your iPads, or anything in a calculation. Okay? So much going on, guys. I'm telling you, this is what you need to understand. All right? Protection grids, a place of my creation. Sure, they call home. Sanctuary, appreciate it. Oh, well, thank you, Michaela. I appreciate that. Silver lining, everything happens. Yeah, exactly. So in that calculations. So what we're going to do today on Zoom is going to ask you, where are you in your minds? Okay. And how do you get your abundance? Okay. I will see you on Zoom. Adios.